The last time I tried to do this, my race ended up getting canceled because of raging forest fires, and then my dad almost died, and then I didn't train for a couple weeks, and then I ended up doing a solo Ironman on my own plotted course. It took me 15 and a half hours, and it was just a giant disaster. So let's try this again.
Outside, you are an Ironman.
The Ironman distance has a really interesting place in my mind and heart because for the last 12 months, it was this huge open loop in my mind, something that I didn't fulfill the goal last year. I did, I finished the race, but I didn't do my best. The prep wasn't good. There was all these things towards the end of prep that made it pretty disastrous. My race ended up getting canceled, so I couldn't actually do an official Ironman event. My dad had health issues, and then I had to go back home for a while where I was barely training. Luckily, he's okay now, but as you can imagine, it was a pretty chaotic time when you're supposed to be peaking for an Ironman. After about 2 weeks of no training, I did a little bit of deload training when I got home, and then I just plotted my own Ironman course, doing the full distance in 15 hours and 50 minutes. 15 hours was 2.5 hours above my goal. It was insane. I was planning to be fit enough for that race, and it just didn't turn out that way. So over the last 12 months, it was just living rent free in my head, and I really couldn't move forward with any other goals until I actually finished an official Ironman, had a good prep, and saw what I was capable of. So coming into 2024, after finishing ultramarathon and powerlifting prep combined, as you can imagine, I was pretty exhausted. I had done 2 bodybuilding shows in Ironman and then a 1,290 pound total with a 63 kilometer ultramarathon in the same day. My plan was to take some time off. I had beaten my body up beyond belief throughout the last year, jumping from prep to prep. But planning 2024, even after a break, I was looking at the schedule and I just couldn't get Ironman out of my head. It's the only thing I could think of. It's the only thing I wanted to do. I needed to close that loop in my mind. So I decided I was going to do Ironman Texas on April 27th. All right, guys, we are here in the Woodlands, which is where the Ironman is being held, just north of Houston. It's not a far drive, actually. It was about like 40 minutes, which is perfect for race morning. It's going to be an early morning regardless, but it's way better than having to drive an hour to wherever the race is. So right now, my priority is just to get a bike, swim, and run in before the race. I've been dealing with some Achilles tendonitis. I haven't made any YouTube videos to really talk about that over probably the last 2 months. This is actually from when I did my ultra marathon and powerlifting meet in the same day. I just hurt my right foot during the ultra marathon. I don't think it was a stress fracture or anything, but I definitely had some like peroneal tendonitis, which kind of bled into some Achilles issues and stuff that I was dealing with. So I didn't have a chance to do anything over a 26 kilometer run. I did a 3.5 hour trail run, which was 26 kilometers. So I spent lots of time on my feet. In terms of like anything over 30, I haven't done. A lot of people will do shakeout runs the day before the race. For me, I don't want to do that because I don't want to put any extra inflammation on my feet this close to the race. So I'm going to run today, either around here or back in Houston, depending on how the day's looking. But right now we're here because I need to check in and I just want to see the athlete village and stuff. There's like a whole setup. The Ironman experience seems really cool, and I haven't even done it yet because there's like a whole village set up and it's in a really cool area. So I'm excited to see it. You see all the other competitors and everything. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it. We're gonna go through the village. We'll film some clips. It's gonna be really cool. Check in, get all that stuff, just get organized, know that I'm checked in, taken care of. And yeah, then we'll catch up after.
Take a lot of your time. I just want to, first of all, welcome to Texas, y'all.
We just got back from the Ironman Village. We got this sick backpack filled with stuff. I got extra pair of goggles just in case something breaks. I might even wear these ones. They felt really good in the store. Lauren made a sign. I'm gonna go for a shakeout run right now. So that's a plan. It's literally gonna be like 5K probably, nothing crazy. Just to kind of shake out the legs, see how running feels, see how my foot feels. Good day. The energy of like the Ironman village and the store and thousands of people is the thing that I was missing last year. I didn't have that. And it was just, I can't even describe it. It was just so exciting. You have all these people around that have worked for months and years to get to this day, to get to this goal. And there's an energy there that you can't recreate unless it's that situation where you have thousands of like-minded individuals that have worked so hard to get to a goal that is such a monumental task. And Ironman is something very few people do, and all of a sudden you find yourself in the mix of all these people that have done multiples, done their first one, and yeah, you're just mingling with all these badass people that are about to take on this really cool thing, and it just makes it much more exciting. You don't feel alone, whereas last time I felt completely alone. I felt like I literally had to do a solo Ironman. I didn't have anybody training with me. I didn't have anybody racing with me. And now all of a sudden I find myself surrounded by thousands of people registering, and all the staff are so nice. And I was just pumped. I was really, really excited. I felt prepared. Everything was organized. And then it was just time to kind of do the finishing touches on the last couple days.
Back to swim, it's about it.
Swim done. That was chaos, like ridiculous, for lack of a better term. It's so crazy, but it's just like you're bumping into people, you're like hitting each other, you're trying to spot, there's like waves, you're like taking a stroke, looking.
You're like a penguin. Maybe turn around, show them your butt.
That's Ironman prep. It's done. That was literally the last workout of Ironman prep. All the work's done. Tomorrow morning we wake up, we race. And Ironman prep's such a monumental task, like that when you finish all the work, it's like hard to even wrap your head around the amount of hours and kilometers and time in the pool and all of that. It's kind of crazy to like just like, oh, now it's done. And now I just have to race tomorrow. For tomorrow, I think it's gonna be a really good race. I feel good. And Ironman prep's done. Now we're gonna go back, eat, and just chill, get all my stuff ready for tomorrow. Oh no, we have to check my bike in. That's what we have to do. Actually, we're gonna go to the car, drive over to transition, and do that. The night before a race, I never sleep well. I don't know if anyone really does, because you're nervous, you're excited, you're wondering if you have everything, you're wondering if you forgot to drop something off at the gear check. And it's a terrible paradox, because you have a horrible sleep the night before the hardest thing that you're ever gonna do, or one of the hardest things you're ever gonna do. The next day, you're gonna have to move for 12 plus hours in the heat and in the water, and you're gonna have to do an incredible amount of exercise, but then you sleep 4 hours the night before. It really just isn't conducive for performance. And hopefully over time I can get better at sleeping before events, but I never sleep well. So it felt like a quick nap, and then we're up at 4 in the morning, I think 3:30 in the morning, to get all my stuff ready and then drive up to where the Ironman actually was. The drive up and the morning of, I wasn't as nervous as I expected to be. I was just I felt ready. But in terms of my performance, I felt confident, I felt good on the morning. And that was a really cool feeling, being in that environment and knowing that I had done all the work and I had really gotten the most out of my training. It was a really good feeling, knowing what it feels like to not be prepared for an event and still have to toe that line and do it anyways.
Morning, guys. Scotty, come on, give me a hands up. Let's go.
Let's go, Scotty.
Scott, give me a race feels starting. Give me something.
Feeling good, excited. Not too nervous. A little bit of nerves for sure, but not too nervous. I don't know. Yeah, it's just intense. I haven't pooped yet, also, so that's part of the. That's an issue. I tried. I pushed hard, and then I peed.
That's all you can
yeah.
push hard. That's what you're gonna do all day.
Yeah, I'm just gonna push hard. I just hope I don't shit my pants.
What are we thinking for this swim? Like 2.5 hours, 3 hours?
4. 4. That'll be a PR too.
How long for the bike?
10.
10.
That'll also be a PR. The run, 16. PR.
A lot of small looking dudes out here today. That's what I'd say.
Look at that cute butt.
The whole crew was there, Max, Cooper, Jack, and Lauren. They were all filming for me. They were all crewing me. They were all supporting me all weekend leading up to it and on race day. It meant the world to have them there during the race. Every time I saw them, it was like I was brought back to life, but especially morning of, before I'm about to start my first Ironman. They're playing the national anthem. There's helicopters flying over. It was incredible. I can't really put it into words how cool that is. One of the coolest moments of my life, but the coolest is yet to come in this story. And then next thing you know, you're in the water. And at that point, it's a unique feeling because there's no turning back. As soon as you get into that water, unless something horrible happens, you are now in it for the next 12, 13, 14 hours. You just don't really know what's about to come for the next day of exercise, pretty much. So it's a really strange feeling. And then they kind of funnel you into a canal at the Ironman Texas course, and that's like definitely not a big enough canal for all those people. But at the same time, all of these people along the canal are cheering you on, and that's really exciting. And that's kind of the theme of this story, is that having all those people around really brings you to life every time when you hear the cheering. And then all of a sudden, I'm getting out of the water. I'm pulled out of the water by volunteers. I'm so disoriented. I've been in the water for an hour and a half. That's when I finished my swim, was pretty much exactly 1 hour, 30 minutes, which I was happy with that time, all things considered. And then I get out and I'm kind of guided towards these guys, and they just kind of push me to the ground. They're like, get on the ground. Then they just bring me gently, but they bring me to the ground. They're like, legs and arms up. And then they just start stripping my wetsuit off. And I was like, do you guys even work for Ironman? How'd you get here? Like, I'm so vulnerable. And it was nuts. I was just like, what's happening? I'm so disoriented after that swim. Now you're on land and someone's literally taking your clothes off. They take my wetsuit off, and that's apparently what they're for, is they're called wetsuit strippers, which is not what I thought that meant before. They take your wetsuit off for you so it's nice and fast. They give it to you in like this neat little package and then say, go to the tent.
2001.
Let's
go, Scott!
27.
I change, I transition onto the bike. I see Lauren at this point. head out on the bike. Now, my goal for the bike was anywhere from 6 hours to 6:30. The bike is the story of the race because we get out onto the highway and there's this headwind. I don't know how strong the wind was, but I can tell you it was strong enough to literally be pushing your wheel left and right. And it was like arrow position, just tucked down for, I think it's like a 40-kilometer stretch out. And it was just brutal, like just a terrible headwind. To get 6 hours for reference, I need to bike 30 kilometers an hour, and it was just not even close. I was biking like 18 kilometers an hour into the headwind. I get to the end, and I pushed hard during that time. I get to the end, I turn around, and then I'm coming back, and now I have a tailwind. So I'm like, okay, well, I want to make up that time on the way back by utilizing the tailwind. So I'm pushing like 45 kilometers all the way back on the bike. That was dumb. I turn around again, because you have to do this twice, and now I'm going into the headwind with pretty tired legs because I pushed so hard to make up that time. And I did make up that time, but it really wasn't worth it in the grand scheme. Coming back into the headwind, it was just a sufferfest. It was so brutal. And this was the talk of the race. What everybody was talking about was how brutal that headwind was on the bike and how much it slowed people down. At this point, it was definitely getting hotter. Now I'm pretty much only 50, 60 kilometers away from the finish line. And I pushed hard and the bike went well, all things considered. I think I was good for 6 hours or less on a nice calm day without the wind because I went 6:30, just over 6 hours and 30 minutes. So I was actually really happy with that considering the conditions. I think I definitely could have went significantly faster, maybe shaved a full half hour off if there wasn't that brutal headwind. But then also the cost of pushing that hard really bit me later on in the run.
All right, Jack, give it to me again.
Well, number one, how are my arms look?
Looking big.
All right, that's important thing. We are heading to the end of the bike and watch Scott transition from that into the run.
Hell yeah.
He's crushing it. He's on good pace for his sub-13 Ironman. I mean, he only got like a little stroll through the park, 26.2 miles or something like that. What is that in kilometers, Coop?
42? 42.
Max is quick with it.
So it'll be cool, man. It's gonna be a special day. It's gonna be
Hell
cool
yeah.
to see
Hell
our
yeah.
boy Scott finish this thing.
I come into transition and I see some of the crew. I see Max running with me along transition, and it was awesome. But I was pretty dead at that point. At this point, I'm 8 hours into the day, and it's hot.
Hey, Scotty. How you feeling? 10 out of 10. Yeah, doggy. All right, we got him from the bike finish to the run start. He's looking good. He's looking tight. Congrats, Scott. You're doing great, bro. Yeah.
Let's go, man. Only a little jog to go.
Yeah.
Woo! Go Scott!
I transition. I don't go too slow, but I take my time just a little bit just to kind of get my bearings and think about the fact that I have to now run a marathon after biking 180 kilometers. I think the temperature on the day was 30 to 31 degrees Celsius, which for me, I haven't had any experience with living up in Canada. So that was pretty brutal, and that's what really started to get me on the run and ended up being my demise a little bit when it came to performance. I got through the first loop of the run, I think it's about 14 kilometers, and I was feeling okay. I was running around like a 7-minute kilometer pace, of just over 6:30 to 7-minute kilometer pace, which was good. My goal was a 4-hour marathon. I kind of had an idea I wasn't gonna be able to hit that, unfortunately, because my legs were so toast from the bike, and I definitely burned a few too many matches on the bike, and the heat. I could really feel the heat, and I was getting really hot. But I'm seeing the crew on the way through, and every time, no matter how bad I feel, it just brings a smile to my face, and I'm just pumped to see them.
Go babe!
Come on, Scotty, let's go! Woo!
The bluish.
We got Max here, eyes on the sky. Coming for you, Scotty. Let's go.
That was a lot of ass right there.
Finishing that second loop, that's when I was like, really done. I would say about half marathon is when I really started to slow down. But around 30 kilometers, I was destroyed. I was in a lot of pain. I was kind of worried that I was getting heat stroke. My vision was going blurry, and I was just so hot. Like, I was just sweating so much, as much ice down my tri-suit as I could, as much electrolytes as I could, as much water as I could, pouring all over myself. I was good with nutrition and hydration. I was really proud of myself for this. It was probably the best nutrition strategy race that I've ever had because I didn't cramp and I didn't get heat stroke, thankfully. But it was everything I had to be able to get enough electrolytes and food in to be able to maintain my hydration and sodium levels and have enough glycogen to continue moving.
Hey!
Alright.
So good.
Look how red I am.
You're killing it. Love you.
Nutrition-wise, it was good, but it really didn't make much of a difference. It was really all I had to give to get through that heat. And at this point, I'm really slowing down after that second loop. At this point, there's a fork in the road where it's go to loop 3 or go to the finish line. And that mark on the road was terrible. Like, I just remember I could hear the finish line. I could hear the announcers. I could hear everybody cheering. And all I wanted to do was just be able to turn right. But sure enough, I go out for the loop, and this was super cool because the way the run course was is like it takes you down the canal through the city, and there's thousands of people lining the streets, everybody supporting. There was probably 10,000 people total around this event. That's what it seemed like, at least. There's lights and the sun's going down, and there's Hippie Hollow, which is a stretch where everyone's dressed like hippies and banging drums, and the crew was there. I see all my friends, and like it was. My pace would just increase all the way through this section. It was just so exciting. I was so happy every time I came to that point because I knew it would bring me back to life. But then, sure enough, you finish that section, you go back into the neighborhoods, and then it was just like terrible, like so terrible. And I've been here before during my ultramarathon, during my last Ironman. I know what this feels like, and I definitely pushed harder during those really low times than I ever had before, but it was a big low. I was really struggling. I was so hot. I was sunburnt, so sunburnt, like, and I could feel it. My skin was hot, inside was hot, my head was hot. It was just, I knew I was like in a bad place. And at this point, I'm about 8 kilometers away from the finish. And I'm looking at my watch, I'm looking at the time, I'm recognizing that I'm not gonna be able to go sub 13 hours. And at this point, I'm kind of starting to wrap my head around the fact that I might have to walk the rest of this race. Then, this is the most beautiful thing, one of the most beautiful things that's ever happened to me with another human in a moment. And this guy, we're walking through an aid station, he turns around and he goes, "Are you ready?" And I was like, "Ready for what?" And then he goes, "Let's run through the neighborhood together." So then we start running. I didn't even question it. We said hi, what's your name? And then just started running. We didn't speak. We were both suffering so bad. It's nighttime now. We're just trying to move. We're running. And then we pass another guy and he goes, "Hey, can I run with you guys?" We're like, "Please join us." Same thing, barely speak. We just had this unwritten rule that we were gonna run together. We get to the next aid station. We had ran that whole way, had a pretty good pace. And then I was like, "Hey, let's walk through the aid station, then we'll start running on the other side." So we do that, we run the next section to the next aid station. At this point, we're getting close. We only have about 5 kilometers left. We're not talking, we're just running because we're all in such a deep sufferfest. We get to the next aid station, we repeat that, and now we're getting faster and faster and faster. And these guys running with these complete strangers just brought me back to life. From a point where I thought I was gonna have to walk the rest, now I'm running the rest. And we continued this all the way till that fork in the road. We get to the fork in the road and we can go to the finish line and we can hear it. And the feeling that I had was insane. Like, I was just so excited, so excited. I felt like I was on drugs. Like it was the highest of highs. I had full body chills knowing that I was about to get there and knowing that we had been running faster and faster the whole way there. And from a point where I physically thought I was incapable of running to now I'm running faster than I did at mile 10. It was the coolest feeling. We turned the corner and then we turned the corner. We give each other props, we talk a little bit, we go our separate ways and spread out, and then next thing you know, I'm staring down the barrel of the Ironman finish line.
Outside, you are an Ironman. Take a hand applause.
Yo, bro, flex! Flex! Congratulations, brother. Come on, bring it in. Oh my God. Good shit, dude.
Hell yeah, boy.
I'm erect.
I haven't been erect in the last 13 and a half hours.
Hey, good.
Good. Dude, that was the hardest thing I've ever done. That like headwind on the bike just fucking destroyed me. But I like burned all my matches trying to get 6:30. Like I had blurred vision. I like was gonna go to the medical tent. Like I was like in a bad spot for a while. That's like I thought I was done. I thought I was gonna have to walk the rest. And it fucking brought me back to life. It was so cool.
Or an Ironman.
Finishing an Ironman for me was one of the greatest moments of my life. And I know that sounds dramatic, and I'm sure a lot of people say it, but I don't think you can experience that until you're there. And the other thing too for me is that my last attempt at this specific challenge was so chaotic and so broken up and just didn't go anywhere near as planned. So it meant the world to me, like to be able to do that, have a time that I was happy with. I finished in 13 and a half hours, which I was stoked about. Given the day, given the heat, given the headwind on the bike, I was super happy with that performance. And I really felt like I squeezed every bit out of myself during that day. And yeah, finishing it, like hearing those words, Scott Thompson, you are an Ironman, it was just, it was incredible. There's no other way to describe it. It was one of the best moments of my life and something that I'll never forget. And closing that loop in my mind is one of the most satisfying feelings I've ever had, because knowing that you can do more and not having lived up to that expectation for yourself and then coming back and doing it and living up to that expectation, it's one of the best feelings in the world. And I just can't stress enough how cool it was. It really meant the world to me. Seeing Lauren after, giving her a big hug, it was like, it just meant the world. Talking to the team, seeing the guys, everyone was so supportive, everyone was so happy. It was like a force field of positive energy around that finish line. Everybody supporting everybody, everyone's congratulating each other, and it was the coolest thing. And I wanted to document this entire day and the days leading up because I hope that it inspires you to do something like this, and you can see the genuine feelings that I have about doing hard things and about doing things that make you uncomfortable and about closing those loops in your mind and just chasing goals that at one point you thought were impossible. I used to be this fat kid growing up that was scared to take his shirt off and would always skip out on cross country because I couldn't run and I hated running and I was unhappy with my body and I wasn't very fit and I literally despised anything to do with cardio. And if you told that kid that one day he would finish an Ironman, it would literally be like telling him that unicorns are flying on spaceships through the sky today. It would be such a foreign concept, but that just goes to show that you don't have to be special. You don't have to be born this incredible athlete. You don't have to love cardio at one point in your life to be able later to be able to do big things and big goals and things that not a lot of people can finish, and have these experiences of getting to the finish line of something and going through the process. And that's where all the value is in the process, gaining all that value through the process and then getting to the finish line and being rewarded for it and being rewarded for your hard work and feeling those indescribable emotions that accompany a goal like this. So that's the main message of this video. It was one of the coolest things I've ever done. And if you have any interest in just running 5 kilometers or doing an Ironman or an ultra marathon, I can't stress enough how valuable that experience is. Going through the process of getting there, and then the finish line is just a cherry on top, and it's an incredible feeling. But the amount of self-development you're going to get from pursuing something that scares you and is really challenging is the best therapy and self-development course that money can buy. So I appreciate you watching. This was a really cool thing to document, and reflecting on it right now has been a really good experience for me. And I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in the next one.